Hello, students of class 8. I am Prashant sir from Sunbeam Convent School, Buxar, and welcome you warmly back in the second segment of this story, The Shoemaker. Before discussing ahead of the story, I would like to recall in brief what have happened till now in the story. In the first video, you have learnt that there was an old man. He had white beard, dressed with shabby clothes. The color of the skin, his loose stockings, all are of same color, that is yellow. His face was expressionless. There was no emotion showing over his face. By the opened part of his throat, we came to know that he was withered. Withered means wrinkled. He was tired by his low and faint voice. It seemed he had long life, probably 18 years in prison. The loneliness has caused him disassociated from the society, still being free from prison. He was living an isolated life. One day, a visitor, Monsieur Defarge, came to meet him. In this episode, you will find why Defarge came to meet him. So let's continue the story ahead. In this segment, I will teach you, explain you the next chapter of the story. Now let's begin. Mr. Lorry came silently forward, leaving Lucy, the shoemaker's daughter, by the door. When he had stood for a minute or two by the side of Defarge, the shoemaker looked up. He showed no surprise at seeing another figure. Now, the explanation. Here, I introduce the two new characters, Mr. Lorry and Lucy. Who is Lucy? Lucy is the daughter of shoemaker. Mr. Lorry and Lucy were standing together by the door when Mr. Lorry stood beside Defarge. The shoemaker looked at him for a minute but showed no surprise at seeing him. Here is the question: why did the shoemaker not show any surprise at seeing his daughter? Answer is because he had forgot everything. He did not recall anything of his past due to being isolated. Now, you have a visitor, you see, said Monsieur Defarge. What did you say? Here is a visitor. Now, Defarge introduced the two new visitors to the shoemaker. Who were the new visitors? You know very well. They are Lorry and Lucy. Then the shoemaker asked Defarge what he had said. Defarge replied that there was a visitor means you have a visitor. The shoemaker looked up at Lorry as before as earlier without removing his hand from his work. Next, come said Defarge. Here is a monsieur who knows a well-made shoe. When he sees one, show him that shoe you are working on. Take it, monsieur. Mr. Lorry took it in his hand. Tell monsieur what kind of shoe it is and the maker's name. Defarge said that there was monsieur and he knew very well about the shoes, about the kind of shoes, because he was expert, and he said to the shoemaker to sew the shoe he was working on. The shoemaker gave the shoe to Lorry. Lorry took the shoe in his hand and he asked him what the kind of shoes and the maker's name. Here Defarge wanted to make him recall about the past event, about the past things, by introducing the visitors to Monsieur the shoemaker. Next, there was a longer pause than usual before the shoemaker replied. I forgot what it was you asked me. What did you say? Explanation. The shoemaker replied, but after a long pause. The shoemaker replied, but after a long pause, after a few minutes, because he was surprised who had come there. He asked again what Lorry had said, as he had forgot what it was he asked about. Here is a question. Why did not the shoemaker hear the question carefully? Because he was totally indulged in his work, that is of shoemaking, and he did not want to meet anyone because he lost his memory due to being isolated. Now the next, I said, could not you describe the kind of shoe for Monsieur's information? It's a lady shoe. It is a young lady's walking shoe. It is in the present mode. I never saw the mode. I have had a pattern in my hand. He glanced at the shoe with some little passing touch of pride. In this extract, Defarge said if he could not describe which kind of shoe he was making on, then how the new visitors would know about the shoe. The shoemaker was asked to describe the quality and kind of shoes. The shoemaker replied that it was a young lady walking shoe. You know, students, there are different kinds of shoes available in the market, such as walking shoes, running shoes, fashionable shoes, formal shoes, informal shoes, etc. The shoe was of present mode. I think you know the meaning of mode. Okay, I will tell you. It means style. It means trend. So the shoe was of the modern style, the modern trend. He had that kind of walking pattern in his hand. He stared at the shoe with a pride of making. He was very proud because he had made the shoe of a lady. Now that he had no work to hold, he laid the knuckles of the right hand in the hollow of the left and the knuckles of the left hand in the hollow of the right, and then passed hand across his beard, chin, and so on in regular changes without a moment's intermission. The task of recalling him from the vagrancy into which he always sank when he had spoken was like recalling some very weak person from a swoon or endeavoring, in the hope of some disclosure, to stay the spirit of a fast dying man. Dear students, in this extract you will get very good words that I am going to tell you the explanation and meaning of that. First word that you get, knuckles. It is Knuckles, knuckles. Knuckles means any of the joints between the phalanges of the fingers. Yes, you can see here, this is the knuckles, this is the phalanges, this is a joint, this is knuckles. You can see here, this portion is called knuckles. Hollow means gap, intermission, a short period of time. Vagrancy, it means homelessness. Recalling means remembering. Swoon, it means faint. Endeavoring, trying hard to do something. It's very good word because I think you students also do work hard to get something. Disclosure, it means the act of revealing some hidden fact. Spirit, the soul of a person or other creature. Now see the explanation. Now the shoemaker had done with a shoe he was making. He put his right finger in the hollow of left and left finger in the hollow of the right, like this. And then he touched his beard, chin, without for a while. It shows that he was restless. Next moment, he passed his hand across his beard, chin, and so once he changed his gesture regularly. He always tried recalling him from the feeling of homelessness into which he was lost when he had spoken. This task was like a recalling some very weak person from faint or trying hard to keep alive the spirit of a fast dying man. It was all in the hope of getting facts from his part. Dear tots, this is all for today. I hope you have understood as I have tried to make this clear to you in simple language, and hope it is a good for you. See you next time in the next video with the rest of the story, what happened. I know it is a very interesting story, so enjoy it. Have a good day. Bye bye. See you.